Sorry for the break, sir. Please go on, sir.
No, not at all. So I asked for permission to be converted onto helicopters because it was, and I knew as a squad leader, I would have the privilege of becoming a squadron commander. I was posted to 111 Helicopter Unit in Hasimara, where I served for almost 3 years. I must confess that this was perhaps the most rewarding period of my service life because of the missions that we carried out in terms of casualty evacuation, in terms of rescuing people who've been involved in natural and other calamities, and generally also at the same time training to be the air warriors that eventually we became. But it was, in fact, during one of these, we were also tasked with flying a helicopter for the King of Bhutan. And we were often asked to either fly his guests, and in one case, his shikari, who had been badly mauled by a tiger, to evacuate him and bring him to a hospital in Bagdogra. Also, as an anecdote from on a slightly different note, on one occasion, I received a call in the afternoon to say that there is a wife of a corporal who is in an advanced stage of pregnancy, and she needs to be evacuated immediately to Bagdogra, because if she's not, we could lose both the mother and the child. So I said, fine, without waiting for clearance from Air Headquarters, Eastern Air Command, we took her into the helicopter, took off for Bagdogra, and about 15 or 20 minutes into the flight, I get a tap on my back, and I was wondering whether I'm expected to go a bit faster. They turn around. It's a noisy aircraft in E4. And I said, no, we go back. And very fortunately, happily, this lady was delivered of a baby on my helicopter. I don't know if there have been any such incidents before where a lady has been delivered of a child in an Indian Air Force aircraft. However, then came we prepared for we could see the war clouds building up. We prepared for war and for action against an enemy, continuing at the same time to do casualty evacuation missions for the Mukti Bahini and Indian Army who were fighting against the occupation forces in Bangladesh, erstwhile East Pakistan. There were some horror stories horror experiences, shall I say, that one went through, but there's no need to talk about that. And then eventually about the 10th of December, I was ordered to move to Agartala, where I joined a fleet of Mi-4 helicopters, and we carried out missions in support, conveying army troops and equipment across the Meghna to expedite the assault on Dhaka. At the end, I was fortunate to witness the surrender ceremony on the 17th or 16th of December at the racecourse, and where General Niazi handed over to surrender to General Arora. That was a very memorable occasion, not one experiences throughout one's life. Thereafter, having spent till the end of the middle of 72, I continued in command of 111. And then, since I was by now fit to fly fighter aircraft again, I asked for permission to fly the Hunter aircraft. I was posted back to 20 Squadron, which was flying Hunters in Pathankot. I was there for a few months only, posted to Staff College to do the course. And after I finished the course, I was then posted to 8 Squadron in Pune, flying the MiG. I had not flown the MiG before, but I did a conversion. And I then subsequently took over command of 8 Squadron for a brief period. And I was relieved of command because of an injury that I had suffered at a broken wrist. Thereafter, I did a number of staff courses and appointments. I was fortunate enough to command briefly the station at Bathinda. I had a wonderful tenure of about almost 3 years in Tabua as station commander. And then I served, again, the privilege of serving first Air Chief Marshal K, who died prematurely in office on the 1st of July, I think it was. And I continued to serve as Air Assistant to then Air Chief Marshal to Air Chief Marshal Lafontaine. Thereafter, while serving with Air Chief Marshal Lafontaine, I was posted to the UK to attend a course which is the equivalent to our National Defence College. It's called the Royal College of Defence Studies. And coincidentally, my father had done a similar course in 1947. It was then known, the institution was then known as the Imperial Defence College. It was a wonderful experience. I was there for 1 year nearly, and one interacted with officers of about 40 different countries. I started from the 1st of January and ended first week of December. And then I returned to command the station at Gwalior in 1989. It was while I was in Gwalior that we had two major events that seemingly might have had an impact on my future career. And unfortunately, fortunately, I had nothing to do with those effects. One was a horrendous hangar collapse in May 1989, where 8 or 9 Mirage aircraft had been very badly damaged because the hangar roof had collapsed overnight. I was away on leave at that time. I'd just been in command of the station barely 4 months. Court of inquiries were held, and they tried to pin blame on a previous AOC and on me, but we were not even questioned, leave alone anything else. And eventually it was found that that hangar collapsed was because of lapses by the MES. The second, and at the same time, same year in October, there was a horrendous and a fatal accident on the Air Force Day parade in Palam, when then Wing Commander Bakshi, while flying a Mirage aircraft, went into the ground during a display. It was fortuitous that, sad while he was killed, had he been displaced by about 50 or 100 meters, he'd have plowed into a stand which accommodated much 100, 200 people who were witnessing the parade. Again, I was being blamed for this, but I had nothing to do with it because the aircraft was now no longer in Gwalior, but had been moved to Ambala, from where he carried out his rehearsals for a month before this accident occurred. As I said, however, that all this seemed to have had some kind of cloud over my career. And yet in due course, I became a vice marshal. The cloud still hovered. And I think I was really, shall I say, I had the umbrella of the then Chief of Air Staff, Air Chief Marshal Call, who knew the facts of the case of it all. And I was subsequently cleared to the rank of Air Marshal. Went as SASO to Geelong Eastern Air Command, from where I was posted to Jodhpur to command the CNC of Southwestern Air Command. I retired on the 31st of January 1996. And thereafter, I came back home to Pune, where I've settled and have been for the last 25 years. End of story.
Hats off to you, sir. It's such a wonderful and lengthy journey of your life, seeing so many things during your life, and commanded so many stations and had a lot of experience in service. So now, if I may draw parallel to the incident that occurred recently, that is the incident of Wing Commander Abhinandan, which caught the attention of the entire world. So I think you did the same thing almost 55 years back when you also were in the same position. So how would you this position? If you draw the parallels, how do you see yourself, sir, with those days, comparing with this?
So now the way I look at it is 1965 and last year, no, year before last year, 2019,
yes,
two entirely different periods in history. I believe that the armed forces of Pakistan at that time had not been radicalized, had not been taught to threaten or torture captives. I mean, that was the code. when Wing Commander Abhinandan ejected, the great thing in his favor, and that he couldn't go to though he was beaten up as would probably be expected by the locals, was the fact that the all-pervasive media was available, whether it's a question of the mobile telephone, TV, whatever it is. And within hours of his being shot down, there were reporters outside his parents' place in Chennai. So there was no question of Pakistan then saying, oh, we don't know about this officer. We think he was killed, or we believe he was killed, etc., etc. That made a big difference, number one. Number two, he was fortunate to, I think he was there for barely 72 hours. I'm not too sure how long he was there, but 3 or 4 days. And though he had been, I think, sort of beaten up a little bit, he was, in the end, he came away that much quicker because of pressure that we brought on Pakistan at the time, release him, because they couldn't keep the fact hidden that he was alive and a prisoner. And, thereby hangs the tale. And he has shot down an F-16, and for which he was subsequently awarded Veer Chakra. His father, as you know, is a retired Air Marshal. He was AOC in Eastern Air Command and retired before the war. And his mother is an extremely successful doctor, extremely highly respected internationally. I'm not too certain exactly what her speciality is, but she is a very highly respected doctor, by the UN, if I'm not wrong.
Okay. So here my point, sir. There is a news in the public also that when you were taken captive as a prisoner of war in Pakistan, I think General Ayub Khan, who served under your father, our General Cariappa sir, I think he made an offer to release you. At that point of time, your father, with lot of values and principle, he said, all the POWs are my sons. So you release him along with others. That is, I think it's a great thing to be told by a father about a son. So what do you say about that, sir? We feel proud of